Hi, Mary. And
Hey, Charlene, how are you?
doing well, thanks. How are you doing, Mary?
Doing just fine. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. It's just I'm still really careful.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, my good friend, I found out my good friend and her husband, who have been very careful, fully vaccinated, boosted as I am, came down with a nasty case of COVID this weekend, and they had been so careful. So I don't know, we're all kind of ancient, and I guess that's the problem.
Well, I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, so happy to see you too. This is exciting to see all of the new people. I would love to meet them all. I'm hoping that things will be okay and we can actually see each other face to face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Turn this a little bit and see if that helps, but
Let's see. I'm not getting any picture, but that's fine. I can just listen.
sorry, I just had to get out.
Oh, yeah. There you are. Yeah.
There's some of the folks.
Hey.
I recognize Chelsea. Hi, Chelsea. Sharon.
I don't know if you heard me.
Sharon is in Idaho helping her mom, who hasn't been feeling well lately. So,
Oh, dear.
We do record the meeting, so that essentially becomes the minutes. We will provide a link to the minutes, and then we try to timestamp it when we hit different points on the agenda. But just be aware that we do record the meeting, but we will go around the table one more time, Mary, just so you can hear the voices of the people who are here, and then we will get started. Jonathan, would you start us off? I don't know if...
My name's Jonathan. I go by John Wyatt.
Hi, I'm Amber Larson.
My name is Matt Brown.
I am Chelsea Young.
I'm Karina Lewis. And then there's Lene Millett, who is our city council liaison. We're so happy to have her joining us. We are just missing Matthew Bowler, but we will go ahead and get started. Please grab some food. There's salads, sandwiches, soup, brownies and cookies, chips, and fruit salad. We don't usually have food at this meeting, but we wanted to kind of do a welcome kickoff because everybody's a bit new. So we appreciate everyone coming and your willingness to serve. Appreciate Lene for doing the legwork to get all the appointments made with the council. We really appreciate that. So we've kind of done introductions again. I'm Charlene Crozier. I'm the library director. Sharon Butters is the administrative assistant for the library. She's been communicating with all of you, and we're both available if you have questions or any issues that you need help with. We are happy to do that. She's prepared a little binder there with information about the commission and other bits and pieces about the library. There's also a roster of everyone's information in there. We've got the agenda in there, and we will have minutes and other things to add to it as we go along. There's a little section in the city code which kind of talks about the responsibilities of the commission, and I can't remember if that is in here or not. Yes, the city code section. And the one thing that we just want to draw attention to is the duties and responsibilities. They're very general, but we do find that many of the commission members find specific ways to participate with the library or advocate as their term goes on. In this section 2-10-2, The commission shall act as an advisory capacity to the city council and shall have the following duties and responsibilities: to provide support, encouragement, and citizen input into planning for the development and maintenance of a modern library system, to take such steps it may deem feasible to encourage grants or gifts in support of the public library, to advise and give input on the development of the general philosophy and policies related to material selection and use of resources, and to hear complaints regarding material selection when a matter is referred to the commission from the Collection Development Committee of the library. The only other thing that we really draw attention to is that we ask that if you find that your schedule becomes such that you would be likely to start missing a lot of meetings, if you would alert us to that. There is a small clause in it that if someone misses, say, more than 25% of the meetings, it may be an issue that we need to work through, and ultimately someone could be removed. But we know that there are times when people have to miss meetings. That's life. We just want to hopefully get on a good meeting schedule. On the meeting schedules tab that kind of gives the upcoming dates. March 9th would have usually been our March meeting, but because of the caucus meetings, the city council met on that Wednesday. So we have updated March for this meeting, and then there are dates May, July, September 14th, November 9th. And then every commission presents to the city council once a year, and the Library Advisory Commission presents in September. Everyone's welcome to join that. There's usually a responsibility of the chairperson to lead the presentation, but there have been various approaches to it. Sometimes everyone takes a bit of the presentation, or sometimes it's just left with the chairperson. It's just kind of up to the commission at the time. So that's just a very quick overview of the generalities of the commission. In terms of the nuts and bolts, we elect a chair and a vice chair, and we usually do that at the first meeting that everybody's gathered together. If you want to talk about that now, we can do that now, or you can spend just a little bit of time getting to know each other and then do it. But that helps with, there are some things that we need the Library Commission chair to sign for on behalf of the state library. It's like the city manager signs it, the library director signs it, the commission signs it. So a few things like that. And then the responsibility with the presentations to the city council, those kind of things. So you guys give me some feedback as to what you'd like to do with the chair, vice chair.
To me, it looks like Mary is the only person who has been on this before. The person new.
Yes, but Mary has just concluded her service as the chairperson. And she did.
Interested in continuing as the chairperson, or maybe filling us in on what some of her duties and responsibilities were.
Do you hear that, Mary?
I didn't hear all of it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're noting that you have been the most recent chairperson. Could you speak a little bit to the duties and responsibilities? And maybe they were asking if you'd like to continue with any desire. So,
Well, actually, the position is not onerous by any means. You basically call the meeting to order and then turn the meeting over to Charlene, who does this marvelous job running the meeting. And then at the end, you welcome everybody out, turn it over to Charlene, and then at the end, you end the meeting. I have participated with some interesting things. Charlene asked me to sit in on some interviews for a position, and that was a very interesting task to see the incredible people who are interested in working for the library. Really interesting people. We've also done some things that are a little bit more difficult in terms of dealing with people who have concerns, but we also have done that as well. So it's not an onerous thing by any means, nor do I think it's something that you need to have a lot of background in to do. Basically, you're helping to run the meeting, and then you're helping Charlene when she needs help, and you're there for moral support as much as anything else. So I don't think it's something like you need to have been on the commission for 5 years before you can do any of this. I think you all are eminently qualified.
Mary did help us. We had interviews for a division manager position right before COVID. So early 2020, and we always do a panel or a series of panel interviews, and it was very helpful to have Mary's participation in that. We appreciated it very much.
So my own position is I would be more than happy to turn it over to one of you wonderful people and let you have the opportunity to do this.
I believe the general method was the chair would serve and then the vice chair would normally become the chair the next year. Is that a fair representation, Mary?
I think so. It's never been, some people would suggest so-and-so as the chair, and usually the person was elected by acclamation. And yes, it's been something that is rotated through the group so that everybody has an opportunity to do this. It's not something, and at least during the time I've been on the commission, no one has been interested in hogging the position. Everyone wants to be a part of this, and everyone gets a chance to serve.
So go ahead and self-nominate, folks.
Know each other enough to nominate.
If you want to do it, you can nominate yourself. Come on, step off the cliff.
Epic game of paper, rock, scissors.
Okay, Mr. Introductions coming in.
I'm Amber Larson.
Okay, Amber.
Yes.
Yeah.
I vote for Amber. I see.
Vice chair.
I'm
John.
sure it's still with all.
So would you accept the vice chair in your motion? Okay. So then you can have one vote for both positions. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the vote was unanimous. So then we will turn the meeting over to Amber.
So, according to Mary's introduction on what I'm doing, pretty much just welcome and go over to you is you want to see it?
Yeah, this meeting's kind of a little bit of housekeeping just to get us started, and then we certainly want to entertain questions and other things from the group as we go along. I kind of got out of order, which I tend to do when Sharon's not here. So we've already done commission overview and the schedule. So if you look in the very back of your binder, it's not got a specific tab, but I did put the collection development policy in there. And this is the kind of the wide how. Did you not get one? Oh, maybe I didn't. I think I was gonna make a.
It's back behind this one.
Okay, I will get those.
Do you want me to go grab them? I'll go grab them.
I can grab them. Would someone like to read through this aloud, or maybe a couple of it, or just give me 1 second? I apologize.
Closest to you.
What am I
Do
reading?
you want to either read it or?
Yes,
I'm.
Here, you know what? All right, okay.
Okay, purpose and scope. This policy outlines the Orem Public Library's collection philosophy, criteria, and removal policies for all of the library's collections. Collection development philosophy. The library is guided by the principles of the freedom to read and intellectual freedom that can be more fully explored and the American Librarian Association's Library Bill of Rights and their Freedom to Read statement. So those are already in our packet. As stated in the Freedom to Read statement, we believe that free communication is essential to the preservation of the free society and the creative culture. We believe that publishers and librarians have a profound responsibility to give validity to that freedom to read by making it possible for the readers to choose freely from a variety of offerings. The freedom to read is guaranteed by the Constitution. Those with faith and free people will stand firm on these constitutional guarantees of essential rights and will exercise the responsibilities that accompany these rights. Based on these principles, the library requires materials to provide for the diverse needs and interests of Orem Public Library patrons. Materials are collected for patrons of all city of Orem demographics, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender, religious belief, sexual orientation, age, and occupation. Selection criteria.
Materials are required according to the following criteria: content, including the item's purpose, quality, enduring significance or interest, context within the genre as a whole, accuracy of the information, comprehensiveness, representation of diverse, often competing or controversial points of view, and suitability, subject, and style for intended audience. Historic, current, and anticipated significance of the author, creator, or publisher. A diversity of perspectives, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender, religious belief, sexual orientation, age, and occupation. Local interests or local history. Relation of materials to the existing library collection. Relation of materials to other resources in the community. Current, regional, and national interests. Industry standard critical resources that provide recommendations to discover, review, and select materials such as professional journals and reviews. The library does not define what is interesting or acceptable for the Orem community at large. Inclusion of materials in the collection does not indicate endorsement by the library or the city of Orem of any theory, argument, or statement contained in the library's material. Materials are not excluded from the collection for representing challenging or competing subject matter. The library defends every patron's right to develop their personal interests free of judgment or embarrassment. Not all materials will be to every patron's taste or interest, but the library seeks to ensure that all patrons find representation within the collection. Some library materials are shelved in the general children and teen section. However, the library does not presume to claim from parents and guardians the responsibility to determine what content is appropriate for children and teenagers. Parents and guardians have the freedom to choose books for their children, but no one has the right to make that decision for every family. The library accepts suggestions for the collection from library patrons. The library will use the collection criteria stated above to determine whether to make this purchase. The form to make a request can be found at the request. Items excluded from purchase include prohibitively expensive materials, materials too delicate to withstand the rigor of public library service, such as pamphlets and other ephemera, textbooks, small press or self-published materials that have not gone through a professional editing and revision process, and materials more appropriately suited for an archive or an academic library, such as esoteric materials, highly technical materials, rare or fragile materials, and original documents. Materials whose primary content or purpose is deemed pornographic is defined by the Utah State Code. By the library's collection development staff or the Library Advisory Commission will not be acquired or included in the Orem Public Library collection. The library accepts donations of books and other materials. Items must be in format for library to circulate. Once received donations from the sole property of Orem Public Library, the library will not evaluate or appraise donated materials for tax purposes. That took us to the part that says removable library. Yeah, go for it.
Removal of library materials. The library will remove materials from the collection as needed. Items may be removed for reasons including, but not limited to, materials in poor condition, items that are surplus copies of titles in the collection, materials that contain outdated or inaccurate information, or material that fails to meet the collection criteria listed above. The library staff is eager to help patrons find items in the collection that align with their interests. Reference staff or the collection's developers can discuss with patrons any concern about the collection. A request for the title review form is available at every help desk for patrons who wish to make a formal request that the placement or inclusion of an item in the collection be reassessed. Such items will undergo a formal review process in which items are reviewed against the collection criteria listed above. If materials are found to be inappropriate for their current collection, they may be moved to a more appropriate collection or restricted, or may be completely removed.
So this is kind of the condensed version that our Technical Services Division Manager, Anthony Morris, has been working on. The other parts of the collection development policy are more specific to internal about repairs and collecting development thing. So this is really the part that impacts the public and the collection for the public. So we wanted you to have that. I'm sorry, I was going to make a little label for that last tab and I could never find the label, so I went wrong with that. But we have a really robust collection in the library. We have 330,000 physical items. And then I don't have an exact count on the digital library, but we have an active group of collection developers. Everyone of most of the full-time positions have a collection development assignment. And so there is not one central buyer for the library, but everyone is working together to be trained on the ways to acquire, and then the physical acquisition. And then we, as noted, evaluate all donations. All donations are reviewed for whether or not they are appropriate to add to the collection, whether it's something we need, or we may keep something in back stock if we know it's a popular title that's likely to be damaged or something like that. Or, as mentioned, we do have a very active book sale. The book sale is a popular feature at the Orem Public Library. It's the last day of the month, so everything that's left that hasn't sold is free today. But they will reset it on the first day of the month, and it is very very well attended on that. And then they do add little bits and pieces to it in the course of the first couple of weeks, and they try and identify what's new. That is a fundraising source for the library. But we do want to be responsive. So we have a purchase request form that people can fill out on the web, or they can fill out at any desk. If there's a book that is interesting to you, we'd like to know that. And then that is submitted to the collection developer, and they decide whether or not to buy it. I would say we're pretty thoughtful about buying if someone is looking for it, unless it's an item that just wouldn't hold up well in the collection, or sometimes there's a kind of a quality issue in some of the self-published things, not all of the self-published things, but so that is an important part of what we do as well. But are there any questions from the collection development policy? You're always welcome to spend more time with that and follow up in a future time, either to me or in a future meeting as well. Okay, great. Mary did mention the title review policy. So we have a title review policy. If someone has a concern for an item in the collection, they're welcome to fill out a title review. They're available at every desk. And if they are not satisfied as it kind of is reviewed up the levels of the staff, then it eventually can come here. We've had one come here in the last many years, and it was for an R-rated movie. So it was a little bit kind of an easier one, because movies are rated, books are not. There's always ways to find out more about content of most books with various services out there on the internet. But so after the gentleman had the discussion with the Library Advisory Commission, he did understand that he was kind of mad at himself that he didn't follow what was listed on the DVD jacket. So he didn't take it any further. He accepted the decision that it was marked appropriately and in the appropriate spot. So, but it's not a very common occurrence for sure, but we could certainly happen. Anything else on
Can I
time?
just make a comment? This is years ago, right after the legislature passed the ability for a business to form an LLC. but I learned about it and wanted to, because I had some issues. I thought, oh, maybe I'd like to see if we could get a self-help book to formulate one. Right? So I did the paper, and I was very impressed with the way the library handled that, because it was a newer thing. And they called me and said, well, help us understand this. We don't really know what you're looking for. And so I explained a little more, and they were really good at getting books.
So the collection developers appreciate suggestions, and we definitely want to. But they also will put the item on hold for you since you're the one who requested it, so you get first shot at it, which is also a nice feature. Anything else on collection development policy? If you have other questions, please feel free to ask them at any point. We do. There is a closed stack. It is primarily for fragile books, but there is a level of fragility in books that have certain topics because people will write in them or edit them or draw clothing on things. So there is one in the adult fiction area. Most of the time there is a dummy on the shelf so that you can retrieve it and bring it to the desk, and they will be able to get it for you. But pretty much what's left in children's is pop-up books, which we don't buy anymore because they're too fragile for circulating. But the previous children's librarian did invest in some. So if people are interested in them, when you have them, they just kind of treat them a little more with a little more instruction. Kind of thing. So then in terms of what's coming up at the library, we're entering into a really exciting, busy season. Summer reading is right around the corner. It feels like it anyway. So you see a lot of traffic into the hall today. That's the Orem Rec Center's spring recital. So they have multiple sessions, and so that's what they're using the library hall for. But we do have a lot of concerts coming up in library hall. We are bringing a group called Turtle Island back. They have been to the library before and were very popular, and so they are coming. We don't have the opportunity to pay for a lot of performers because we don't really have an income stream for that, but we write a lot of grants. Turtle Island is coming in on a grant. We have a lot of spring concerts. The Utah Baroque Ensemble just came, and the Cantorum is coming. So a lot of our bigger community concerts are coming up in the spring. And then we are celebrating like Earth Day kind of themes in the library in April. So we have passive activities that are available in the children's area most of the time now. And so this one happens to be kind of recycling themed. So a passive activity is kind of an anytime activity where you don't have to participate. It's only offered at 7 o'clock on this day. You can come anytime and enjoy it. And so in the children's area, the kids will have the chance to look at pictures of different type of recycling things and sort them into the appropriate categories. And then upstairs, we are doing a makerspace for the juniors with recycled materials. So people have been bringing in recycled materials so that they can make crafts and other things, and kind of an upcycling discussion with that. So that's one thing that's happening. Our summer reading theme this year is called Oceans of Possibility, and it's kind of a oceanic, deep sea, underwater kind of theme. So they will have a lot of different activities themed around that. I haven't heard all the activities yet, but that's definitely a fun time of year, and we're looking forward to a really robust crowd this year. We have recently purchased a new program that will continue to help us kind of gamify the summer reading sign up, so you can earn your different levels, your badges, things like that. So that little software investment, I think, will go a long way for making the the program easier for parents and kids to use and to have them achieve a sense of accomplishment and different levels as they do that, as they progress through that. Other things that are coming up include, we have a storyteller called Bill Lepp, who, if you were familiar when Orem Library would partner in the Storytelling Festival, he was very popular. He's coming to the library. We have a teen library council that meets. They help plan the teen activities. And then there are tween and teen activities. Then those, the teen activities are held after hours on a Saturday after the library is closed. So we have those monthly. We have Dia de los Niños. It's something that is going to be a celebration of children across the world. And that is coming up. It's going to be a fun time with crafts and food and excitement. And we think police and fire will come over and participate. And so that will be a fun one coming up. Internally, we have recently had to hire a children's associate librarian. We had a wonderful children's associate librarian, but she was recruited back to Springville Library as their children's librarian. So we had to say goodbye to her. And so the assistant librarian was promoted into that position. Her name is Mary Jensen. And so we're recruiting for an assistant librarian. We have a couple of other positions coming up as well. So internally we're doing that. The library is changing ILS, the integrated library system this year. We did a full request for proposal at the end of last year. We have been on Seriously Dynex Horizon, which is just a proprietary vendor system. And we've been on that for 7 years. Our contract is ending with them. And after looking at all the vendor options, the decision was unanimous to go with a new system that's an open source system called Koha, which is available to any library. But we will be working with a company called Bywater Solutions to build the look, feel, and functionality of that program. It is something that Bywater does, so they are starting miles down the road from scratch. They're not starting from scratch. They definitely have the basic program down to a pretty good science, and then it's customized to the Orem Public Library wants and needs. We are going to be contracting with Bywater for the Aspen Discovery Layer, which is essentially the part of the ILS that the patrons interact with, the look and feel of how you navigate the library catalog and functionality. So we're excited about that. That is something that we will be working with our IT department to give Bywater the access. And so that transition is likely to happen in December of this year. So it won't be startlingly different in terms of functionality for patrons, because all of the same features we have now will be integrated, but we are hoping for some increased functionality in the back of house. Seriously Dynex has been a great product for us, but we feel like there are some cost savings in this change. And we also feel like there's some additional functionality because you do have the opportunity to request specific reports and other tools that are specific to your library to be built and functional. So we're excited for that, but it is a big changeover. We will spend a good chunk of time training the staff before we migrate completely. And we will make training available to the patrons, but it should be very intuitive and easy for patrons to use. We've seen all of the interfaces, all the vendors offered, and we were impressed with theirs. So that is coming up. We are going to be closing for a maintenance closure either at the very first part of May or mid-May perhaps. We are going to be laying some carpet in the main adult library. The traffic areas have worn a very significant path. And rather than replace all the carpet, we're going to replace some coordinating carpet with that path. It's kind of hopefully a good way to extend the life of the majority of the carpet in the library, because generally it's in good shape, but that path area is getting worn. So we will close for as little time as we can to accomplish the laying of that and then some carpet cleaning. We always try and clean the carpet in spring after the rainy season. and try and spruce it up before summer reading. It doesn't last very long, but the carpet vendor did give me some information for a new carpet cleaner that he thought could do a really good job in that front area of the circulation lobby that tends to get the most worn. So we will look into that. And then our facilities team also does some cleaning of great big tall vents and other things like that. So there will be a short closure coming up. We're waiting to hear back from the carpet vendor as to when the carpet will be available for them to install. So that is something that we do not like to do, but we have to do it at least once a year to get some level of carpet cleaning maintenance in. So other things that may or may not be new, if you have been in the library recently, you may have seen some of the things. We have upgraded our gates in the last year and a half, and we have upgraded our self-checkout units. We've put new units where there were self-checkout units, and we've increased the number of self-checkout units we have. There's one in the adult main floor now that we haven't had previously. And then we used to have one in the back by the children's desk, and we took that out, and we have one back there now. So those have been good improvements for us. They've been working really well. We are going to be upgrading the desktop of the circulation area, and we've been trying to get a contractor to do some small construction work. We got some grant money to rebuild the fiction desk downstairs to make it more functional for staff and the public. And we just have not had really good luck with getting the contractor that we keep talking to get it on his schedule to come in and do that build, and then do a little bit of modernizing of that circulation desk area. We did buy new hold shelves recently. They are a different color, and they are right down the center as you come in the main entrance. During COVID, we found that the traffic pattern was to come in the door, immediately go to the hold shelf, and then come back out to do the self-check. So we were trying to reduce the conglomeration of people in any one area. And so right now, staff is putting up display items. We got a grant to add board games into the collection recently, so they're putting some of those up there. And then the new hold shelves are just straight down the middle. So we're hoping that makes it convenient for people, whether they're coming in to pick up just their hold, and then they can go to either side to check it out, or they're pursuing their way, or they're making their way back further into the library. So we have art in Library Hall that's available, and then you'll see, please sign up for our newsletter. That's a good place to learn about what's coming up. And we are doing a variety of different activities in the hall every week, whether they are in the lobby or the auditorium. We do have story time running Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a bilingual story time on Thursdays at the 4 o'clock hour. So those things are going on routinely, but we have really creative staff. They have taken to heart that people love the passive programming. We did that some before COVID, but we've done it really consistently throughout COVID so that people could bring their kids to the library to do something. And so that's been exciting. Anything else that you guys would like us to prepare for you or answer for you regarding happenings at the library?
Change over to the new system, will that affect like the digital overdrive and that?
It should be seamless, the same way it is now. You can currently look up titles that are available on Overdrive through the library catalog or directly from the Libby app. If you like ebooks and e-audiobooks, the Overdrive app has gone away. So Libby is the game in town for that. And most people who are experienced users go directly to the Libby app and do their searching. But if you are in the catalog looking for something and it comes up as that title, that might, spur you to want to use it or find out more about it. But it should be seamless. We have ebooks and e-audiobooks through a statewide consortium. The state pays the $55,000 platform fee, and they invest $150,000+ into buying titles. And then every library that is a part of that consortium receives a share, and that is related to your circulation. So you kind of get a bill that you participate into you participate to that level by buying titles. And the state used to put in a lot more, but they decided that they wanted to have more options for library service at the state level. So they felt like it was appropriate to put the participation cost onto those participating. And so this will be the third year that we've approached it from that share. And we always put in money into the system to buy titles that were considered to be advantage titles, which would give Orem patrons priority use over them. And now the system has just changed and everyone is putting a share in, and there are more opportunities for people to access the titles of other libraries. They don't just sit dormant. If someone's not using it at that library and you would like to use it, that is available now through the consortium lending model. So ebooks and e-audiobooks are incredibly popular. They are probably over half of our circulation at this point, but we love them too. So we understand, but it is kind of an insatiable beast. You could throw so much money at it and you would never quell the appetite for it. We have to buy like metered titles. So we buy a title that can be used 10 times and it's used 10 times by Orem residents and Orem library card users, I should say. And then we either have to decide to buy more or buy something different. So it's not exactly that you can buy it and own it forever. And those are all publisher models and they're very aggressive publisher models. So we feel bad that they are aggressive publisher models, but that's what it comes down to. So we seek a lot of grants and we put our collection money towards it as well as the physical collection. So
Along with that, if there is a challenge on like the ebook side, is that something that goes to the state? Or?
Depends on whose title it is. So there are titles that are provided by the state. And so even if we chose to not have it in our collection, we don't have the ability to turn on and off individual titles. So either you see all the titles or none of the titles. So it's challenging. It's a challenging issue. If it is something that we have purchased, we should be able to withdraw that, I believe, but there are some titles that could be challenged or controversial that are owned by the state and available through that consortium. So again, just sign up for the newsletter. That's a great way to hear about our activities and different library happenings. We are on Facebook and Instagram. And if you need a library card or anything like that, please let us know. We'd be happy to help at any point. If anyone would like a tour, I'm happy to conduct a tour now or anytime, really. Available at your leisure for that. Awesome.
Kind of observer type, and so it's just always questions.
One thing that we are kind of looking for is if there are library advisory commission members who are interested in helping us reboot our Friends of the Library group. We are open for suggestions and participation there. We used to have a really robust Friends of the Library group. They started the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival as a fundraiser for the Children's Library wing. And then when the festival kind of took off as its own enterprise and activity, then it kind of, their focus kind of became more that, which they were all very generous to help in the library and other things as well. And so now we've tried different things over the years and we haven't had as much success. So we are kind of doing after COVID, what do you think people would be interested in terms of supporting the library through the Friends of the Library program. And it wouldn't be just the commission, it would be staff and commission and maybe even some volunteers participating together to try and brainstorm. We are not the only library who's struggling with this Friends model. It's really hard with volunteering unless you kind of have a specific thing to do or a stewardship area. So that is one of the challenges. We have a lot of volunteers who help our acquisitions area with the book sale. We get lots of sorting and pricing of books through that, and that's a really great service to us. But are there other things? We tried a subscription model, you know, kind of a fundraising KUED type model of be a friend and get these perks, but when your, you know, library card is the ultimate perk, there's not that much that we can add on. But so we had a few people participate in that, and you know, we kind of see.
I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we got some shirts and other things like that. But that's definitely one thing that we've been talking about is like a group approach to that. And then there's lots of ways, if there's any particular part of library that stirs your heart, you can, you know, hand out prizes one day at summer reading, or you can, you know, just be part of a small program or a larger program, anything at all that you would like to interact with the library on a more personal level. There's probably an opportunity to do that. But we don't expect you guys to be the strong fundraising arm for the library. But if you hear of, you know, a corporate opportunity or a local donor or something like that, the city does have a 501c3 foundation that we can we can process donations through. You don't have to go through the foundation for it to be a item you can write off on your taxes, but we did a lot of fundraising during the library hall development and the Orem Fitness Center. We did a lot of that. I was part of the fundraising team for those. So there's always opportunities out there, but sometimes it takes a listening ear or somebody who hears of something in the community. So if you hear of something, but you don't want to really be the front person for that, please just let us know, and we will be happy to follow up on that. Well, I guess I'll turn it back to our chairperson.
That's pretty much everything for today, but I kind of would like to get to know everyone a little bit better. Do you have some time to quickly go around and just get to know everyone just a little bit, where we're from, what we do, and that's all right. Maybe we can start with our Zoom people, since I can't see where we get to know Mary a little bit.
Did you hear that, Mary?
You're muted, Mary.
Sorry, I didn't. I heard that you wanted to go around and have people introduce themselves. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Mary Richards. I have been on the Library Commission since I think it was 2017. So I've got roughly 18 months left on my second term. I'm a retired BYU history professor. My specialty is Southern US, particularly 19th century. I also do women's history and Black history, and I've published in those areas. I'm originally from Mississippi and got interested in libraries when I was a little child. My parents would go to the library every Saturday and we would all check out books. And over the years, I have worked at the library in Greenville, Mississippi, where I'm from. I worked there in the summers as a volunteer and then as a paid volunteer. And then as assistant children's librarian after I graduated from BYU. And then when I was working on my dissertation, I worked in the research area. So I was a research librarian. So I am now retired from BYU, and my husband and I are trying to stay very safe from COVID because we're both ancient. So that's me.
Good to get to meet you, Mary. We're going to have to get together sometime. I did my graduate studies in history up at Utah State. So.
Oh, great. Oh, wonderful. You may have studied with some of the people I know up there, so that would be fun to talk.
Absolutely. It looks like, is it Nathan? No, we're Nathan.
We're Nathan.
Oh, we're Nathan. Okay, never mind. And then Sharon. Oh, Sharon.
Hi, I'll do this really fast. I'm Sharon. I'm the office administrator in the library. I've worked for the library for about 25 years. I love my job. I started going to the library when I was a little tiny child, and I've never stopped, obviously. Spent a lot of time in the library, and I worked in the library in junior high and high school. So any way I can help you, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing you in person, hopefully for the next meeting. I'll be able to see you in person. So look forward to working with everybody.
Sharon is the favorite person in the library, so we're lost without her, but we are happy that she's providing such great care to her mom. So that's where you need to be when you be there. Oh gosh, this is my 29th year with the city of Orem. I worked for 20 years in the city manager's office. I started in the city recorder's office as the deputy city recorder, and then I did some communications, community and neighborhood services, federal programs, the CARE grant, which is the arts and recreation program. So lots of little things cobbled together. And then almost 10 years ago, I came to the library, and it's the best. I love it. So I work with amazing people, and I love both sides. I love the library specific side. I love the council and municipal side. It's all very interesting to me because I've worked in both of those areas, and it's great. City of Orem's the best place ever. So I love it here.
Lene Millett, I was recently elected to city council representative, so in January. I work in the right, you're setting down there, and sixth generation Midway out, so hard for me to leave Midway and come to Orem, but my husband worked with Novell years ago. They were for Bay Area for a while, and then I love Orem. We've lived here over 30 years, so there's a kids here. I worked professionally for 10 years before we had our kids, and we finally got our kids, and was able to be a stay-at-home mom. And kind of went into the other areas of service with PTA and schools. So I've always brought my kids to the Orem library, and it was kind of fun. Shar took me on a tour, and I was like, "Show me what's changed." I haven't been here for a while. And it's still a wonderful place, and it has some wonderfully remarkable new things too. So I really love what the library does for our kids, because I'm a firm believer that you can increase your community through education and through lifting rich kids, then you all can benefit.
I'm Karina Lewis. I'm from Oregon originally, Raccoon, Utah. First, I go to BYU. And I got my teaching license at BYU. I taught for a year at Centennial Middle School in Provo, and now I have 3 daughters, ages 3 to and almost 1. So bought a house recently that was built in '69. Most of the cosmetics are from '69, and so we're slowly going through working on it. It's been a lot of fun.
I am Chelsea Young. I am a high school history teacher in Spanish sport, history and social studies. I'm not a student at Utah State.
I have 2 kids at Utah State, so
I do not sing Logan's praises. It is cold. I lived there for 8 years. My daughter was born there, and we couldn't go back. I've been teaching for 8 years. Before that, I worked 13 years in various libraries, including the Orem Public Library. I met my husband at Utah State University Library at the site. Oh, how long were you there? I was there 5 years ago. So no, you don't know it. So I worked at the Merrill and the SciTech, and then I got hired in that position. I worked there when the libraries merged to the Merrill facilities. Yeah. And then my water broke there. Well, we made it to the hospital on time. And then my husband is a librarian. So we moved here, he's a librarian at UU, and I just was a relation partner, he's the science trainer. And when we moved here, I got a job in the circulation department. Not the director at the time, it took a long time ago. And I worked here, and then when I got a job at UU, and started running the meals, grocery. Which is now kind of, when you COVID and now. But I've been teaching history. But I am library people, and the Orem library is like my life. I mean, it could be yours too, but like, it's not. I love it. I don't know people get everybody's.
My name is Matt Brown. Lived in Vineyard, grew up there. I was 150 people. Moved out before it in 15,000. And then lived in Orem pretty much the rest of my life. I married into a steel family, which Orem is family that strong and steel. So it's a compound in the Orem area. But then I've been teaching high school for 17 years, currently at Orem High School between Mountain View and Orem. I've covered the city pretty much. I don't intend to ever make it to the notice.
Oh, my kids graduated from there, so be careful. I am T-ball.
So I teach all things media. So I do film, broadcast, digital media, and on radio station at Orem. So yeah, I did my master's in media literacy education and so kind of built from there.
So you run Orem's favorite radio station.
Orem's favorite radio station. And I've worked with the library just in the fact that pre-COVID, the makerspace was starting to be a thing here. So I worked with the makerspace, let my students forced volunteer into the makerspace. And it was actually a really cool experience having them come in and help patrons use the recording. And that ended with COVID, and we get to get it back off the ground. But the goal is that if I can understand how the library functions better, mission, vision, values, that I can prepare students to walk through the door. One of the things I liked about it was students that came into the library as volunteers would become patrons. Did you know this was the library? Yes, I did. And I did too. And so I work with the library at Orem High. Really trying to figure out what to do with the future of libraries and what's happening. These are open mics, we do poetry readings. My media students do audio and video for those events. And so I've loved that environment of expression. So trying to get my kids to technically think about conveying other people's messages so that they feel. So we work with the libraries there. Guests that would come into this library would show up at the Orem Public Library occasionally, and then we put on radio. So I've always just been kind of involved in programs, but never been the face of the school or sorry. So I was there today and so from there here. So it's just because this is where I live, this is where I am.
I'm Amber Larson. I grew up in Pleasant Grove with my parents, and my grandparents are Oremites. So my name makes Brampton. Dave Brampton,
Oh, I know Dave very well. You did very well, and I currently know Dave friend.
So you do this. We moved to Orem. My husband and I moved to Orem when my grandmother's home. It's been really neat to get to know the area again, especially because I grew up from a little kid when I was with my grandparents. I have a very extensive history with being a forever college student, but I finally ended up finishing my graduate studies in history at Utah State. I also went to UU. I was an assistant archivist at UU for a little while. I also worked here as an assistant librarian 15 years ago. So it would be under Catherine. Under Catherine. Yeah, I miss her. She was incredible. I was there until I realized that I really needed extra education if I was going to go like that. So that's when I left to go to school and got married and did a few other things, did some internship. So most of my background with library deals with art. Right now, I'm in a completely different field, working for doTERRA. I'm a senior manager over their customer experience group. So I work with usability, I work with product development, process improvement. So a lot of technical stuff that deals with research. So that's about the only thing that, you know, kind of goes over. So being on the commission is my guilty pleasure.
My name is Jonathan Weiss. I go by John. I'm a long-time Orem resident. Actually, I was born in Kahuku, Hawaii. That's where my dad is originally from. But my mom was from Provo, so we moved back here when I was a baby, and then we moved to Provo, and then we moved to Orem when I was about 4. My parents have been in the same house ever since. My dad worked for Orem City for over 30 years in the water department. I think it was extended probably about 10 years ago now. Traumatized to Orem. I love the library. I remember when it was just all one building before the children's wing was built, and it's really still awesome. As a little kid, having more awesome children's wing open. So I went to school, Geneva Elementary, which is that even more, and then Orem Junior High, and then Orem was our big rival back then. They were kind of the first year.
I was gonna ask you that if you were there one of the first years.
I think we were like the second or third class. I went all the way
It was like the fact that even
through. Yeah.
we need some friends.
Yeah, that was brand new. That's 20, so I use that now. So yeah, so that's, and then after high school, I went to UU and BYU, did English and literature. And then I went to law school in Idaho, University of Idaho, and my wife there was actually from Orem. We met there. And my wife, she practices for the Utah State Courts. And I took a little time after, and I actually got an MPA as well at the University of Utah. We ended up at Murray at the time. And I worked for Salt Lake County Mayor's Office for a time doing legislative work. Negotiating type work. And then after that, I took some time off to be a stay-at-home dad. I have 3 boys, now 10, 8, and 5. You know, go to Orchard Elementary. Spanish deliberation. Yeah. They claim they don't know Spanish, but they speak pretty well. A lot more than I do. Yeah. And so right now I just started working back in September again. So I'm the associate director of the nonprofit up in Salt Lake. I work remotely mostly. It's the Utah Center for Legal Inclusion. We're just working with different law firms and the judiciary to increase the diversity of Utah's legal profession.
Let's see anything else. Probably adjourn unless there's a
Quick question, that's okay. Is there anything I should be doing or anything that we should be doing to prepare for our next meeting? Anything you should be looking at?
Not that I'm aware of. We'll have more information about our summer programs and things like that. But our biggest question, challenge, problem, desire at the library is how do we share the message of the library with the larger community? We have a lot of people that use the library. We have a lot of people who should use the library, and we have a lot of people that care that their community has a really good library, but maybe they don't come in often or much, but we want to share that message. This is the most kind of common desire of all the Utah libraries. We were on a discussion thread the other day about what's kind of the big rock, and it's how do you share what you do and make sure that people who need the services know how to find the services, and all the different ways that we could be reaching out to people. So we're kind of trying to put together a marketing campaign that we want to have be multifaceted, maybe include all different types of communications and formats and lots of different things. So if you have any ideas about how you feel like we should reach your neighbors or your students or others in the community, we will absolutely appreciate that feedback.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Second. Yeah. To do that, I don't know.
There's a reason I was not interested in being there.
I didn't like to do that.
I'll get it.
And then somebody else.
The moment you get it down.
Thanks, Mary and Sharon.
Thanks for doing this, Shar. Did you guys get food?
Yeah, everybody.
Thank
needs
you,
to get some
Charlene.
food. Good to see you, Mary.
Good to see you, Charlene. Great meeting.
Thank you.
Talk to
Take
you
care,
later.
Mary.
Sharon, good to see you. I hope your mom feels better.
Thank you. Take care. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk with you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.